report. First, student representative to the board, Elizabeth O'Shea, will lead us in the pledge, and she will provide us with a moment of silence.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I usually do a moment of silence, but today I would rather much hold a moment of inspiration, being that it is Black History Month, and I have a quote to share with you from Malcolm X, and it is, "You don't have to be a man to fight for freedom. All you have to do is to be an intelligent human being." I think this is rather fitting because school is a place of education that goes beyond textbook work, and the Black Lives Matter Task Force just put out curriculum that is not only helping students, but teachers and parents help formulate a better understanding of others and societal and cultural dilemmas that they have to face day by day. So I would just love to take this a moment to think, reflect, or appreciate the progress that has been made and is soon to be made. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Well done. Okay, the closed session report. The clerk of the board will report actions taken during our closed session.
4.1, no reportable action taken regarding public employee performance evaluation, superintendent. 4.2, no reportable action taken regarding negotiations. 4.3, no reportable action taken regarding personnel. 4.4, no reportable action taken regarding existing litigation.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Now for the introduction of our guests. The Board of Trustees wants to recognize our community stakeholders for their interest in the Anaheim Union High School District. And we want to thank you also for attending our board meeting and for your participation and contribution as we create an educational environment that graduates socially aware, civic-minded students who are college and career ready with unlimited opportunities for the 21st century. I see in our guests, we have Grant Schuster, ASTA president. I see Sylvia Onopa, the APGA president, co-president. Hilda Vasquez, the ALTA president. And I have looked for others. Did I miss anyone? Hopefully I haven't. If anybody knows of anybody that I've missed, let me know. But in the meantime, thank you all. And we will go to reports, and we will start with our student representatives report. Elizabeth O'Shea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to be recognizing 5 schools this evening. I'm going to be starting off with CVA. So this past week, CVA had a speaker from Amazon who had high interest from computer science students, and he just talked to them about the opportunities that await them in the career field and how he works at Amazon and what path you can take and what different modes or people you can talk to enter that career field. At Loera, their BSU and ASB teamed up for a Black Lives Matter week. So their goal was to educate students about Black history by highlighting prominent African-American figures, African-American culture, racism, and discrimination. And also at Loera, I just want to do a student spotlight for Ahmed Hassanein. He was just signed to Boise State for football, so congratulations, Ahmed. At Oxford, IOTA.net is an app that was designed by Oxford students Rhea Javanti, Arvid Vivekanand, Hannah Jang, Lynn Kim, and also in addition to Justin, from Cypress High School. They competed and placed in the top 5 global finalists of apps for digital peace competition. The competition is hosted by the United Nations, and it was open to cybersecurity enthusiasts ranging from ages 6 to 13. Also at Oxford, they were honored with the AP Computer Science Female Diversity Award, meaning we have taken steps towards closing the gender gap in that field of computer science, whereas women have been underrepresented. And lastly, one student, Arnav, has taken advantage of the distance learning by creating math apps to reinforce the learning of 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. The app is designed to challenge your friends and family to see who can score the most, and is currently available for free at the Google Play Store or Apple Store by searching IT365 Solutions. At Savannah, they are implementing a more inclusive version of homecoming. And the process is by removing gender labels and allowing students to choose whatever they feel more comfortable with. So students are selected based on the various criteria such as representation in SLCs and 5Cs, involvement in school activities, and overall character. And today at Savannah, they're hosting Discover Savannah, which is a showcase of their programs, activities, clubs for their feeder school, Brookhurst, and they're hosting with breakout rooms and just having these respective groups show out what is Savannah and what you should look forward to when you come here. And lastly, at Western, their RSVP group is holding another processing circle next week, and that will center on mental health and any ways to improve mental health at their school and the resources that are available to them. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Elizabeth. Next, we will have the reports of our associations, and Grant Schuster, Astor, would you like to give a report?
Yes, please, I would. Thank you, Trustee Piercy. Good afternoon, trustees, cabinet, and the community joining us online. I have a few things to share today and a couple of things to say about where we are this school year. First, I would like to share that ASTA members continue to meet weekly with the district through the teacher input group, and that group continues to work with teachers at their sites and our AUHSD education division in order to address the needs of our students, families, teachers, and service providers. I continue to hear positive responses from teachers, students, and parents regarding the new schedule that was collaboratively created by our members and the district to increase attendance and engagement with students. It is important to remember that from the beginning, ASTA, AUHSD, and other stakeholders have been working together to support our students in any way we can. To start the year, we jointly created the compassionate grading guidelines adopted by the district. We worked together to create our original distance learning model and then collaborated to improve it. We again worked together on the new grading policy for the first semester and are continuing to look at adjustments that might better serve our students. Our members, in combination with counselors, psychologists, social workers, tutors, and peers, have also worked tirelessly to create spaces and services to support students in any way we could think of. As this pandemic drags on and frustration builds, it's important to remember who we are as people and as a district. We work harder than any district I've seen to provide students with opportunities and support wherever and whenever they need it in their lives. It is also important to grant ourselves grace when we aren't as successful as we wish we could be with every single student. I'm also pleased to inform the board that ASTA has been selected by the National Education Association to be part of their Community Schools Institute. We will be taking teachers, community school coordinators, and parents to learn more of the opportunities that these schools can provide for our students and their families, as well as how to access more funding and implement services dedicated to those in need within our communities. I look forward to giving future updates about what this effort that is supported by all of our stakeholders can do to support our most vulnerable students. I would also like to share that ASTA will continue to have the honor of representation on the NEA Board of Directors. After Karen Ridley's term of appreciated service ends this summer, I have been elected by the CTA State Council to replace her on the national board representing this area of Southern California. I'm looking forward to lobbying for increased Title I funding and a full funding of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act that will enable us to better serve our students from socioeconomically depressed areas and our students in our special education programs. I want to be sure also to recognize, most importantly, the daily efforts of our teachers, speech language pathologists, and nurses who continue to innovate, support, and just be there for our students as the pandemic has reached previously unseen levels in our communities. I hear from teachers regularly who are supporting students socially and emotionally on a daily basis as they deal with unemployment, housing insecurity, illness, and death within their families. There's currently a lot of political noise out there about what schools are and are not doing, and it is being used by those looking to take advantage of a situation. Everyone here today knows exactly what is being dealt with in our community, and I am proud of our teachers, SLPs, nurses, and every other employee in our district for what they have done this year to support our students and their families. As we move into the final third of our school year, questions remain about how we will finish out the term during this pandemic. I am proud to have been part of a district that from the beginning has focused on what science says and how we can best support our students based on that information. Last summer, we brought in an epidemiologist from UCI to give us the most up-to-date scientific models that provided the board, the district administration, and our labor groups with what we needed to make an informed decision. We decided that a distance learning model that balanced synchronous screen time with asynchronous planning and support time was best for our students. When we saw areas that could be improved, we altered our schedule for the second semester. During the 6 months we have been serving our students with this model, our community, along with Santa Ana, has been hit harder by COVID-19 than any others in Orange County. The decisions we have made undoubtedly saved lives. Each quarter, we have looked at the spread within our community based on the raw numbers and the test positivity rate. Things were trending in a positive direction in September and into October when we were hit with the worst wave yet. Throughout it all, we have stayed on a course based on science and the public health of our community. We all continue to question if what we are doing is right. We are all human and empathize with everyone who has experienced loss during this time. As we go forward, we support the district sticking with the science. Our current COVID positivity rates across Anaheim zip codes remain at twice the purple tier threshold of 7%, and our number of cases per 100,000 residents remains between 5 and 10 times the threshold. Our public health metrics are currently worse than they were when the board decided not to move forward with in-person instruction for the third quarter at the December board meeting. It has been terribly disconcerting to hear our governor publicly pressure school districts to reopen campuses without clarifying that most students in our state attend classes in counties where state guidelines prohibit districts from doing just that. We will continue to keep our focus on our community, our students, our employees, and the public health. It is not time for politics. ASTA has supported the district philosophy from the beginning that we reevaluate our situation on a quarterly basis and use our community health numbers to make decisions. We continue to stand with our board now. In closing, I want to acknowledge the pain and loss that so many of us have experienced since the beginning of the pandemic, and more specifically over the past month. ASTA mourns the loss of Leo Aldine, who passed away suddenly last month. Leo was a PE teacher at Ball Junior High, and our hearts go out to his wife, Jill, who teaches at Juarez Elementary School here in Anaheim, and to his children. In the memory of all of those we have lost, let's continue our work to support our students, employees, their families, and our community to the best of our ability. Thank you. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Grant. Sylvia Onopo, APGA. Do you have a report, Sylvia?
Yes, I do. Good afternoon, trustees, district cabinet, AUHSD students, families, and community members. Thank you for your time today. I am excited to be speaking about all the good things our counselors are doing. First, I would like to recognize one of our counselors, Veronica Alvarez. She was awarded Orange County School Counselor Recognition Award. Mrs. Alvarez has been a counselor in the district since 2006 and has served at Sycamore Junior High School and Savannah High School, where she has been a counselor since 2015. Way to go, Mrs. Alvarez. It is an honor to call you a colleague. Counselors would also like to give a big thanks to Amanda Bean and Carlos Hernandez for all of our college and community partners for putting together virtual financial aid workshops for all seniors in the district. I would also like to thank all of the counselors who have graciously volunteered their time to work these events. Even though we are just beginning second semester, our counselors are hard at work doing course selection with students for the school year. Yes, it is that time of year again. We are grateful for the help that we are getting from our sites, and we also would like to thank our teachers for allowing us time in their classrooms to do course selection with our students. Our junior high counselors are collaborating with our feeder elementary schools, and our high schools are collaborating with our junior high schools. Lastly, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge all of the school counselors out there. This is National School Counselor Week, and I just want to say thank you for all that you are doing for our students. You are appreciated, and I feel lucky to work with such a wonderful group of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Yes, we have some acknowledgements this month of all our different occupations here. Okay, Alta President Hilda Vasquez, do you have a report?
I do. Thank you, Madam President Piercy. Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Matsuda, Executive Cabinet, AUHSD students, parents, community members. It is my honor to be here this afternoon. Many of our colleagues have already shared some of the amazing, wonderful things that our sites are doing, and I just want to reiterate some of them and add some additional ones. As we've talked about, many of our sites are gearing up for open house. I know it seems so quick, but we want to showcase all the good work that our students are doing. And so I want to encourage all of our students and our parents watching to visit their sites, or maybe you are a current sixth grader looking to come to AUHSD. So we invite you to come visit our junior highs to check out the showcases. And so really excited to be putting those on starting again today with Savannah. We also want to thank our counselors for all of their work. We know it has been very different than what they're experiencing, but they have gone over and beyond and have really supported our students through many, many, many layers. And they're continuing the good work. And also want to also thank our social workers as well for the team effort that they're putting together. I also want to give a shout out to our district ambassadors. We had an opportunity to connect with them in our last principals meeting, and they are very committed to raising student voice. And so we will be sending all of our sites a student survey. We wanted to hear from students on our changes, as Mr. Schuster talked about, and we want to make sure that it is a good fit for our students, and we want to hear their voice. So thank you, ambassadors, who are also going to be talking at our sites and connecting with parents. Also, in terms of parents, we are conducting parent learning walks. I want to share with you that we're emphasizing 3 of the e-learning national standards, which are course routines and predictability, teacher presence, and community building and connection. And so we are working with our faces and our teams to do the parent learning walks, and also really a huge emphasis on the wellness component. Sites are adding more and more supports for developing student wellness and connections. So for example, you heard about offering spaces, safe spaces for dialogue and for students to come together. Junior highs are starting this. High schools have been doing some of these, and they are also doing them district-wide. And so some of them are not just site specifics. And I know ambassadors have been doing some of this work. Also, we are connecting, some schools are creating monitoring systems where parents could sign up, and parents and staff can connect with students and check up on students and do an additional connection. Also raising awareness about our mental health and supports and the available services are on sites. Doing some workshops. For example, Savannah and Berkers hosted one this morning for our parents on mental health. We're also district-wide doing some site professional development around mental health. And also, as it was mentioned, we are also adding some community school and staff to further develop those. So all in all, just doing a lot of work. And lastly, I want to just share in terms of instructions, in terms of the things students are doing in the classrooms. We are focusing this month on doing some project-based learning. So some lessons revolving around inquiry and also on action civics. So students will have the opportunity to connect, as Elizabeth talked about, some lessons revolving around the 5 C's: empathy, awareness, and also we have some COVID-19 lessons and possible opportunities for students to do some solutions, actions, items as a result of that. So we're excited to do those at the site. And with that, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Hilda, very much. Okay, next we have our Parent Teacher Student Association report. Do we have a representative? I'm looking, I haven't seen anyone. Did I miss? Okay, I don't think we have any in attendance. So
This
do we
is
have-
Anne. May I ask a clarifying question?
certainly.
Okay. Thank you, Hilda and Sylvia and Grant, for your reports. Very compelling. And I just wanted to know if someone can give a brief explanation. You mentioned twice community schools, just a brief explanation of what that is to folks who may not know what that is.
Anne-Marie, so
Good idea. Okay.
community schools are, it's a model where schools provide space on campuses where services that normally are provided by the county or the state at their local offices can be accessed by our students and their families who may not be able to get to downtown Santa Ana to an office there, or to some state office. And we've already started 2 of them at Anaheim and Sycamore. They have things like dental clinics, medical screening facilities, rooms where students and families can receive counseling or family therapy. There are all kinds of opportunities, and these are programs and services that these families are entitled to, but they just haven't been able to access them from the county or the state, and we can provide facilities for them to do that on our campuses, so that not only are the students and their families receiving these services, but now they're also better able to access the education that we're providing, because some of those needs that they have been addressed by our community school services. So we're awaiting to hear about a grant that the district has applied for to expand this to other schools, and this is something that that our association has been pushing hard for through our channels, and the district has been pushing through their channels, and we are both in 100% agreement that this absolutely fits the needs specifically in our community, and we can help support these families and students to make their lives better and also increase their access to education because of the services they receive.
Thank you, Grant. I hope that clarifies it for a lot. I didn't think about that. Thank you for thinking about that, Anne-Marie. Oh. Okay, moving on, we'll move on to public comments at this time. This is open session items. Opportunities for public comments occur at the beginning of each agenda item as well, and at this time for items not on the agenda. Comments may be submitted online at online prior to the meeting. Submissions will be read aloud during the board meeting by the board president or designee, and we will designate Mr. Waddell for that. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. Each topic or item is limited to a total of 20 minutes, and board members cannot immediately respond to public comments as stated on the speaker request form. Mr. Waddell, would you like to take over? I understand we have some public comments.
Yes, thank you, President Piercy. We do have a number of public comments this afternoon. The first comment comes from Joy Harper. I would like to urge you to consider giving families the option for full in-person instruction besides a hybrid model, which may give students only 1 or 2 days on campus. The vaccine is already being administered to our vulnerable population, and the time has come for students to return to school. They are capable of following all safety protocols on campus. I'm a teacher in the Cypress School District at King School. I've been teaching full-time in-person kindergarten since September. As expected, children and staff have tested positive at my school, but none have contracted or spread the virus at school. I realize an elementary school is much smaller than a junior high or a high school. However, if elementary students are following the protocols that are keeping our schools a safe place to be, I know that older students like my freshman son can follow them as well. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to hearing your response. The next comment comes from Kimberly Monteleone. I write this as a parent of 4 children at 2 schools in the district. I have 3 at Cypress High School and 1 at Lexington. I am also in education, and so is my husband. We teach high school students in neighboring districts. I'm writing this letter to please encourage you to try and get these kids back on campus in any way, shape, or form. This can be done safely through a hybrid model, and these kids need a purpose and something to look forward to. My children are very active in sports, and having the sports camps at the beginning of the school year made all of the difference in the world. Being able to be on campus, see their friends, and interact with coaches helped change their morale. They were motivated and happy. They looked forward to practices and actually had smiles on their faces. All of that was taken from them while many neighboring schools around us continue to go on in-person school and practice every single day. As an educator myself, I understand the difficulties that go into the planning of all of this. As a parent, I see firsthand how it is destroying their mental and emotional health. These kids need someone to fight for them for once in the last 10 months, and I beg you to please do that. Fight for them and get them back on campus. Let them see their teachers and let them start practicing again. Thank you for your time. The next comment comes from Kelly Engels. Surrounding school districts are or will be back in school by end of this month. High schools and junior high schools. Fullerton Joint Union District, which pulls from similar zip codes, being included. Do they have different funding or requirements to be back? I want teachers and students to be safe, but the CDC has issued statements that kids should be back in school. It seems that our district has never had any intention of returning to school with teachers, echoing this through online learning. Also, I would ask that every possible option is exercised to have an in-person graduation for seniors. I know other schools are already making these plans, and I pray that ours is as well. I understand that all reports indicate kids are not falling behind in most subjects in school, but I do not need to see a report to understand the impact on mental health this is having on kids of all ages not being in school. Witnessing firsthand the effect this has had on our senior class is heartbreaking when they feel left behind, and zero acknowledgement of what effect this year has meant for them. Please take this into consideration. Thank you for your service. The next comment comes from Amy Zabala. My children are students at Cypress High School. I am writing this letter to get a better understanding of what it will take for Anaheim Union to open its schools in order to provide our students with the in-person learning environment that they deserve and require. I am aware that the stance of the school district has been that COVID case numbers are too high, especially in Anaheim. However, with proper protocols in place, schools can open safely regardless of the COVID cases in the community. I work in the health office of an elementary school in the Cypress School District and have been on campus since August. We have no reports of any school spread throughout our district. Furthermore, I have contacted high schools that are open for in-person learning, and they also have no reports of school spread. In an effort to keep this letter brief, I did not include the specific details, but would be happy to provide you with any information if you are interested. In addition to safety protocols, we now have a vaccine that will help protect the elderly family members of our students and our teachers, who will soon be eligible to receive the vaccine. With that, withholding in-person learning is failing the students you are sworn to serve. I understand that many teachers do not want to return to in-person teaching. However, with all due respect, that is the job that they were hired to do. Where would we be if our healthcare workers, grocery workers, and all other essential workers decided they didn't want to return to their jobs? I do believe that teachers are essential workers too. Their job is to be in the classroom teaching their students in person. As a classified employee of the school district, my choice was to either return to work on campus or resign. I was happy to return because I know with proper protocols in place, school can be and has been a safe place to be. I urge AUHSD to open our schools for in-person learning for the remainder of the 2020-2021 school year, not only for our students' academic needs, but for their physical, social, and emotional needs as well. I look forward to hearing from you soon. The next comment comes from Christy Roberts. Distance learning has been a complete disappointment and highlighted the need for our family to find another district before next school year. The children are barely in class, hardly assigned homework, and left to teach themselves. Extracurricular activities such as band, drumline, sports, etc. have completely gone by the wayside without any attempt by the district or schools to keep the kids engaged or supported. Furthermore, the lack of engagement and support or encouragement for our class of 2021 seniors is heartbreaking. AUHSD and Cypress High need to do better. Many districts have been successful during distance learning, and the lack of performance by AUHSD and Cypress High is so disappointing. Considering a hybrid model where students attend in person 1 day a week is another slap in the face to our students and teachers. As the Cypress High principal advised last week during coffee with the principal, the schools are ready to reopen. COVID measures are in place and should be utilized. Also, the numbers are low in some areas, so why withholding opening schools like Cypress, Kennedy, Lexington, etc., until the entire district is in the clear? You're just making excuses that are having dire effects on the health of our children. If teachers are concerned or high risk, then have those teachers stay home on unemployment like thousands of other people. But there are many teachers willing to return before the vaccine are implemented. Cypress School District has teachers in person every day in the elementary schools, and yet AUHSD can't find a way forward. Parents and students are done being silent. It's time we take action and push to reopen immediately. Also, to tell parents that our students are being provided compassionate grading is another slap in the face and further evidence that our district is failing the students. Rather than teach the children the curriculum and hold the students accountable, our district is passing students that should be failing to keep grade averages up because the district knows they're failing our students. Our children, we keep getting further behind and dumbed down if we allow this to continue. It was also emphasized during coffee with the principal that AP exams will take place this year in person and will be the full exam, not modified like last year. If students can take the exam in person, they can attend school in person. It was offered that if our students want to withdraw from the AP exams, they still can and receive a refund. The schools are offering this because they know that our students are not prepared at no fault of their own. Again, further confirmation that our students are getting shortchanged in all areas. The next comment is from Jody O'Campbell. My daughter is a senior at Cypress High School. I know I am only one parent, but it is time that students return to campus to continue their education. It is something they need for their social, emotional, and physical needs. If some students don't want to return, they can continue with distance learning. With vaccines now available and many persons getting them, it is time for in-person learning. With each teacher, staff member, student taking proper COVID protocols, I believe this is something that we can all get through. Please let's give all seniors, class of 2021, an opportunity to finish their education with AUHSD on campus. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to a promising decision from the board. Our next comment comes from Lauren Kennedy. Our family currently has children enrolled at Lexington Junior High and Cypress High. I'm writing this letter to support plans to start transitioning our schools to some form of in-person instruction for our students. As we approach 6 months of virtual learning, I feel that it is time to start planning to pivot to some minimum form of in-person learning for our children. I can see in my children a great need to socially interact in a school setting for their emotional and educational well-being. I do understand there's a difficult balance that we all face in returning students to the classroom, but I feel we need to start making a slow, methodical transition back. Unfortunately, it seems that we will be dealing with COVID in the long term, and I do not feel that complete virtual learning is sustainable long term. In contrast to the beginning of the school year, we have improved our understanding of COVID outbreak mitigation. We have improved access to testing and personal protective equipment, which was not readily available at the start of the school year. I believe we should look at best practices from school districts that have returned to modified in-person learning and modified workplaces that have mitigated their COVID spread successfully. Based on recent tragic events at Cypress High School, I am growing concerned that our students' mental health and believe we now need to give additional consideration in offering them some form of in-person interactions with their peers, to at least have the option of 1 day in-person instruction for those students that are struggling with virtual learning. I believe AUHSD has always had our students' best interests at heart. I truly understand the difficult challenge of balancing the need to protect our students from COVID and meeting their academic, physical, and mental wellness needs. Thank you for your time and consideration. The next comment is from Sarah Salazar. Please reopen the schools. With proper PPE and protocols, it is possible to offer our children the in-person learning environment that they are missing. Failure is of epidemic proportions in the 2020-2021 school year. Let's combat this by reopening schools for our students. Other states have done this successfully. It is our turn. The next comment comes from Raymond Laws. I'm writing this on behalf of my 4 children who attend Cypress and Lexington. I understand that it is difficult with the logistics of getting the kids back on campus in a hybrid model, and that you are doing all you can to plan that. I pray that you can make that happen before this school year is over. It is going to be weird and strange whenever it happens, so it would be nice to work out the kinks before the school year is over. But I'm begging you to at least let these kids get back on the field for their practices and activities. I was just at my niece's cross-country meet today, 8 miles down the road at La Habra High School. It was amazing to see an actual live event, but what teared me up more than anything was to see every single sport, football, soccer, baseball, softball, track, water polo, you name it, out there practicing. This can be done in a safe way and was done in a safe way for several months. These kids are sitting in front of a screen all day long and have nothing to look forward to. The very least you can offer them is a chance to run around outside and condition or practice with their sports. It is insane that they are not able to do that right now. I ask that you please do the right thing and let them back out on the field. Thank you. The next comment is from Nicole Matlock. Our kids are already not allowed to go to school in person, which they desperately need. They are struggling so bad. This has gone on long enough, but now the kids can't even practice their sports. There is no reason for that, especially since tons of other schools have been practicing this full time. Please let the kids go back to their sports at the very least. The next comment is from Gretchen Linder. Please let our kids return to school. How many more kids are going to commit suicide for you to wake up? They need community and normalcy and sports. You've stripped them everything away from them. Other districts are open and on campus and not getting sick. There is no reason for you to stay closed. Open our schools and open sports for our kids' mental health, please. The next comment comes from Candy Cusimano. Many of the schools just down the street from us are attending school and playing sports. You are damaging our children permanently by withholding their right to attend and play sports. This ban must stop now. You are mentally and physically killing our young. The madness must stop now. The next comment is from Tony Cusimano. I feel that the sports need to be implemented yesterday. These kids are becoming lethargic and interested in sports and in general. School is not as big a priority to kids now. It's been too long. We are almost at a year of these kids not being in school. Let them play. You are elected official that can be elected out of the position. My best recommendation is open the schools up and let them play. The next comment is from Riley Cusimano. Let us play. Let us go back to school. The next comment is from Tice Lindner. I'd really like to go back to school. Please open up. And sports. Let us play sports. It's outside. All my friends at other schools are playing and never stopped. It's not right. Let us play. The next comment comes from Blake Cusimano. I am tired of being stuck at home. Let us play sports and go back to school. Let us have social interactions. The next comment is from Eva Pangborn. Let us play and do sports again. Please let us go back to school in person. The next comment is from Melissa Aguilar. I think it's vital for my kids' overall health, mental and physical, to return back to in-person classes as well as sports. My children have failed almost every subject because distance learning isn't for them. They are in desperate need of social interaction with their peers. I also believe they should return to sports, of course, still taking every precautionary measure. This year has been hard for everyone, but most definitely has taken a toll on our children. We cannot do another year of distance learning. The next comment is from Cole Fendrick. Kids are not getting the right education and the real education they need to succeed. Not only that, but online school is way more stressful than normal school. The next comment is from Camilla Roberts. I feel it is time for the kids to go back to school. My kids are not learning anything and they are all athletes that need to get back to their sports. Please consider full studies back at school. The next comment is from Royce Roberts. I'm ready to go back to school. It is very hard to study and understand online schooling. Plus, I'm an athlete and want to get back to playing baseball. The next comment comes from Amber Fendrick. There are multiple schools surrounding our city who have returned to playing sports and to the classroom. My sophomore is ridiculously worried about how far behind he is going to be compared to other kids due to the lack of learning that he's experiencing online right now. Not to mention how far he'll be behind athletically. This needs to stop. The kids need to go back to school. If a teacher doesn't want to return to the classroom, hire one that does. There are plenty of them out there. Let the kids who want to go back, go back. What is the science behind keeping these schools closed? Please explain this to me. My 8th grader has been suffering from depression for months now. I have been worried about leaving him home alone at times. He quit playing his favorite sport and rarely leaves the house. Kids need to interact with other kids. They are being shortchanged of so many life experiences right now, and why? Kids aren't getting sick. If they do, it's body aches for a day or a headache or some other minor symptoms. My niece and nephew both just had it. One had no symptoms and the other a headache. If a child has underlying issues, they need to be the one who stays home, not every child in the district. I told my sons if school doesn't start, we are moving out of state. This is no longer healthy or good for them or their futures. The next comment is from John Matlock. My public comment is to request to open up the schools again, especially for this last semester. In addition, I request to open the athletic camps. The impact to these kids has been substantial. There's very little evidence that the virus outbreaks are occurring at schools. Previous comments by the AUHSD have stated that preparations have been made at the schools to keep the students safe. If this is true, then the schools should be able to open up. I believe that the board would unanimously agree that distance learning is a far lesser form of education than in-person learning. With the safety precautions made, the lack of evidence that outbreaks occur at school, and the evaluation that distance learning is not sufficient, the schools should open back up. If the board still continues to keep the schools closed, then at least let the extracurricular activities start up. Many schools in Orange County have allowed athletic camps to start up again. These students have suffered enough. It's time to put their best interests first instead of our precaution at their expense. Please allow the students to return to school and athletics. The next comment is from Deval Patel. As a parent of 2 AUHSD students, I believe it's crucial to the health, both physical and mental, safety, and education of our students to be back into the physical classroom environment sooner rather than later. Why is our district one of the last ones to open physically when many others in our area are open already? What is being done to get into the classroom sooner? At this point, we have had ample time to prepare safe return protocols. What is the delay? Who makes these final decisions? The next comment comes from Allie Willis. It would be completely irresponsible to move to hybrid instruction when infection rates are worse than they were when the district moved to virtual instruction last year. There have been significant slowdowns in getting the vaccine to teachers, who everyone seems to forget in these discussions. In addition, the strain on already overworked teachers have to change all of their plans to move to hybrid instruction would be immense. Students need consistency, and throwing them into a loop by changing their routines and schedules yet again is abhorrent in a time like this. I beg of you to vote against moving to hybrid instruction for the sake of our school students, teachers, and staff. The next comment comes from Kristen Jackson. I'm urging the district to look at how we can safely get the students who want to return to school to be able to do so with safe, proper protocols in place. Schools can open safely regardless of the COVID cases in the community, and many have been operating with no or very little COVID transfer happening at the school itself. I work in the health office of an elementary school and have been on campus since August. We have no reports of any school spread throughout our district. It is my understanding that the high schools that are open for in-person learning also have no reports of school spread. In addition to safety protocols, we now have a vaccine that will help protect the elderly family members of our students and our teachers who will be eligible to receive the vaccine. Withholding in-person learning is failing the students you are sworn to serve. These students are not thriving emotionally, physically, academically, or mentally. Look at the data that shows depression and anxiety on the rise with teenagers. I myself have a daughter and I'm worried about. She is mentally and emotionally hurting. My son is academically not thriving. You are failing my kids and their friends, and there is no data showing that what you are doing is working. Our numbers will not go down to an acceptable level until our students are back in class and families are home to make sure they are in class. I urge AUHSD to open our schools for in-person learning for the remainder of the 2020-2021 school year, not only for our students' academic needs, but for their physical, social, and emotional needs as well. I do not want to hear any more excuses or stories of our students hurting anymore. The next comment comes from Amber. Our kids are suffering. COVID is not taking their lives. Your decisions are. The next comment is from Carissa. At least get us back to sports. It is our outdoors with low risk. We are kids with low risk. Let us play. The next comment comes from Robert P. Our kids need to be in-person learning. We are jeopardizing their well-being by keeping them home. They see and hear of their friends getting to be in class and practice their sport. This makes them mad and anger turns to depression. Stop torturing them already, open the doors. The next comment comes from Ms. D. Please reopen schools. The governor of California said that schools need to open up. Why do our children have to pay the price because of the teachers' unions? This is wrong. You are supposed to protect and serve the children in your district, not the teacher unions. These teachers obviously don't care for their children or the job, just the paycheck and what is easier from them at the children's education expense. Maybe it is time for certain teachers to resign if they don't want to return to school and do their job that they were hired to do. The risk of COVID is very low and we have vaccines. I have seen other schools already open nearby. Thank you for listening to a concerned parent who sees firsthand her children's education failing them. Next comment comes from Jermaine Newman. As you know, the whole country is suffering from the crisis brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. We hear on the news every day about schools struggling to adapt the every changing requirements to keep our students and school staff safe. AUHSD has adopted a 100% remote learning environment in the interests of our community. Unfortunately, it is pushing our children to a mental health crisis. While the school sites and the district work to address this mental health crisis, there are things that can be done to help alleviate the situation. Most of the classrooms are not requiring students to turn on their cameras. Students have no opportunity to engage with each other. This breeds a feeling of isolation and depression. Further, because of this camera policy or lack of policy, the teachers get no way to read the class to see if they are reaching the students with their lessons, which blocks the teachers from their normal communication method. This is depressing for the teacher, but also only provides tests and quizzes as a means for feedback. As we see on the news every day, we know upwards to 50% of our students are failing their classes, thus reinforcing this feeling of depression and isolation. Furthermore, there is little to no collaborative discussion or group projects happening in the virtual classrooms. Pre-COVID students would work in small groups to discuss problems and topics. Our class schedule allows 400 minutes of asynchronous learning every week. This would be a great time to work with small groups of students on these collaborative lessons or other engaging lessons. But that is not happening. What are the teachers doing with that time? I'll tell you. They use it for office hours, for returning emails, and for grading, all things that are part of their normal workload pre-COVID. In the meantime, our students are spiraling down in depression. Another condition that causes despair in our students is the amount of work assigned for homework. As a reaction to the spring semester, where the virtual classroom was thrown together, AUHSD has pushed teachers to provide more rigor in their assignments. Teacher has therefore loaded the student with an excessive amount of work. Students are staying up till 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 p.m., even 3 a.m. working on these assignments. We parents wonder, is this workload necessary? Does it really need to be so much? Or can AUHSD look at the assignments and ask a few quick questions before assigning them? How does this add to the learning? Does it need to be that long? Can we do this different, collaborative instead? Number one should be forced to sit in front, or no one should be forced to sit in front of a computer for 12 hours a day, let alone 20 hours. Just in January alone, we know that at least 2 AUHSD students have taken their own lives. The first was a 14-year-old boy and the second was a girl. We cannot allow any more of our children to kill themselves. We implore you to work with the teachers to develop ways to engage the students. There are simple things AUHSD can do to create engagement in the virtual classroom. Lastly, there is software that can search AUHSD computer and Chromebooks and look at what students are searching and alert you to this. And then you would be able to notify families of this as it is happening. With approximately 30,000 students, you need this software. Please protect our students. We don't want to see any more students die. The next comment comes from Katie Castaneda. I just wish that more teachers were open to talking about race and stuff. Even when they do talk about it, I don't want them sugarcoating it. I just want honesty. I love being part of a BSU club. It's a safe space where kids can talk about whatever they want and not be judged for it. I wish teachers could host a safe space like that or teach stuff that we really want to learn about without them getting all shy. Ingagi, I, as a student at Catella High School, feel as though understanding the importance of all cultures is important. My school is a well-diverse school that I believe as students love and get along well with. I may feel as a minority outside of school. However, I feel at school I am one with all of my students. Yet despite this, there are still times I feel the importance of my skin color changes the way I'm treated by either opposing schools playing at school to staff or unknown staff at school who may treat me different due to the color of my skin. I would feel recognized and loved if our teachers and students reflected on the issues of racial discrimination and fixing the stereotypes of minority races. If teachers could open up about the real struggles on race and listen to the questions students may have. We as a school district can create a bond and partnership with students, parents, and teachers that is important as our world is changing and we must talk about the issues we hear on the news and experience in our schools and communities. The first step to change is awareness of the problem, and from there, we must ask ourselves, so what must we do to create this change? Thank you. I appreciate all that you do very much. The next comment comes from Ileana Fernandez. I'm a student at Catella High School and the co-vice president of the BSU Club. It has come to my attention that there are teachers, mainly those who are Caucasian, who do not feel comfortable talking to students about certain matters regarding race. I do not want to talk about these matters because they feel like their opinions are invalid and that they must quickly correct manner. It would be greatly appreciated if teachers were given some type of training for addressing this issue, because I do believe that teachers in our district do not have any malicious intent, but the improper training. Thank you for taking the time to read this. The final comment this evening comes from Amber Norwood regarding the new board policy 8000 on equity that is later on in the agenda. Please pass this policy as it is a significant need in our district. It will make a difference among our families and staff. And that concludes public comment for this day.
Okay, that was a few. We're hearing a lot of our.
Can I ask a quick clarifying question of Carl? Carl, have we checked through to make sure that we received all the public comments?
Yes, I am looking at the form right now. I read all of them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on from public comments, we will go to recognitions. And the first recognition I would like to do is a donation from Farmers and Merchant Bank. As one of the last family-run independent banks in the country, Farmers and Merchant prides itself on the communities they serve and staying true to the founder's words that safeguarding our clients' money is a sacred trust. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we would like to thank you for investing in our community through your generous donation. Farmers and Merchants Bank donated $5,000 to our AIM program, and accepting the recognition on behalf of Farmers and Merchants Bank is Sandra Ellis, Vice President and Garden Grove Branch Manager. Sandra, are you with us? Okay, I don't see Sandra, but we want to thank, of course, farmers and merchants tremendously for this donation. Okay, awards. Now, the Anaheim Union High School District values and appreciates perfect attendance of our employees. It has become the district's tradition to recognize and applaud on an annual basis staff members who have shown perfect attendance. Consequently, a Red Apple Award will be sent to each employee of the district who has had perfect attendance for the 2019-20 year. A Gold Apple Award will be sent to each employee with 3 consecutive years of perfect attendance. And the Board of Trustees congratulates staff that are listed on the exhibit who have earned this recognition and thanks them for their dedicated service to the Anaheim Union High School District students and community. And I failed to count how many of them, but I know there were like 3 pages. So we have a lot of our employees who are very dedicated and who show up every single day. And there are a lot of them who have 3 years of perfect attendance. And that to me is phenomenal. So congratulations to all of you. I guess I'm not having to read all the names, but if you're out there, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Now, our next item is a presentation. And Viren Mehta, who is a student at Oxford Academy, will provide us a presentation on climate change and its impact on society and the importance of civic engagement in the schools to face the challenges it presents. Viren, together with 12 other students from around the United States, won the inaugural Equity in Civics Youthful Citizen and funded by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Byron also was National Soapbox Speech winner and traveled to Washington, D.C. to present a 2-minute speech on climate change. Byron, I'm going to give you the floor and let you make your presentation on climate change.
Thank you. The sun rose on a beautiful world. Birds are chirping, breathing in the clean, fresh air. The dolphins and fish are playing in a beautiful blue ocean. Pedestrians walking down the sidewalks, living the good life. Unfortunately, the world I just described is not reality, and we need to stop acting like it is. Hi, my name is Viren Mehta, and I believe it is time for a change. The world is not what we want it to be, and it is only going to get worse without action. We need. Storms have continued to rise and decimate everything in their path. Global temperatures continue to rise. Arctic sea ice is shrinking at exponential rates, causing many animals to lose their homes. Forest fires are rapidly burning through California, causing many to have to relocate. We cannot continue down this trajectory. We cannot hide from this problem any longer. These past few years are proof of that. The spike in storms annually has only been increasing, hurting our economy, our environment, but most importantly, ourselves. Throughout my time traveling across the country, I've got to meet so many students that do want to change and do want things to happen. But if the adults in our lives do not set an example for us and do not give us the opportunities and the education necessary to take that first step and create real change, nothing will happen. And that is why I am here today, to propose a resolution that will effectively address global warming for years to come. A resolution that will inform students on how they can speak out and create real change and become advocates in their communities. As we become collectively a greener society, our students will also learn how to speak out and be advocates and be active citizens within their communities and fulfill their role as active citizens within a democracy. This is uniquely key in Anaheim Union High School District, which is the home of 15 democracy schools and is viewed as a leader when it comes to fostering students and unlocking their unlimited potential. As Greta Thunberg once said, we can't save the world by playing by the rules, because the rules have to be changed. Everything needs to change, and it has to start today. And that is why I implore you to support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Viren, and I apologize for mispronouncing your name.
No problem.
Very, very well done. And you are to be applauded because you are one of our students right now. And I am just so proud of the fact that you have accomplished so much. It says a lot for our school district. So, good job. Okay, we will be bringing the resolution forward a little bit later in the agenda here after a couple more presentations. Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask Viren, and sorry to put you on the spot like this, but I just was thinking about what we've been experiencing with COVID, and then when everyone was home, everyone was, we had less cars on the street, we had less people in the street, and you saw videos of animals coming into coming out of the wilderness and into the streets, and I just wanted to know what
COVID had a beneficial impact to global warming, but I think that studies have shown that even that is not sufficient, right? There needs to be some policy, some action, some realization by communities that, yes, this is a big issue and a possibly existential issue. So I think that, yes, COVID has created some change, but I think we now need to integrate that within our education and also pass policies to further that so that we really have a grasp on this issue and find solutions.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Any other questions for anybody? Any other board members or comments? Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to congratulate you, Viren, on your accomplishments so far. And if you were able to accomplish this much at your age, I can only imagine what is going to be ahead of you as you mature and gain more knowledge. So I applaud you again for tackling this issue that is in front of the whole world, and that is climate change. So keep at it. I support you, and I'm sure the whole board supports you and your activities and what you're striving to do. So thank you again.
Okay. Thank you.
Joanna.
All right, Al.
I just want to, it was so refreshing, and it's not surprising, right? Our students from AUHSD are civically engaged and talking about great topics. But I just want to say, you mentioned about Greta. I sit on the conference planning committee for California School Board Association, and we had to put up people who we thought should come out as speakers for the general session. And I was thinking about all the youth in our district, and I proposed Greta to be one of our speakers. So we'll see how far that goes. But if they do, I want to make sure that we give you a special invitation to come to that conference. So thank you for your advocacy.
Okay.
Viren, this is Catherine Smith, and I want to congratulate you, thank you, and I know how proud your family is of you, and how proud you are of yourself, and a la what Mr. O'Brien said, or Mr. O'Neill, that you will speak volumes for the future in a great strength. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, very good. We're all proud of you, very much so. Okay, moving on to our next presentation. This is the Resilience and Recovery Learning Loss Supports. Now, Joe Carmona, Carlos Hernandez, and Scott Reindell will present to the Board of Trustees on the tutoring and mentoring programs, as well as their impact on the district's students. Gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be sharing my screen here briefly. So we have some slides that we'll be going through. And again, on behalf of the board, our community, and the staff and students we serve, we're very excited to share a little bit of some positive things that have been happening over the course of the first semester. So just give me a moment to share. Okay, so I will actually start off, and then my colleague Scott Rendell will join me a little bit later in the presentation to share a piece of this. So the part that I'm going to discuss is academic support that our students have been receiving from college tutors. So we have provided this tutoring at all of our school sites, including CVA, and we hired just over 100 college students to provide these services during the year. Half of those students, 48, are actually district alumni who are attending universities throughout California, but also some out of state. The ability to work virtually has allowed us to bring in some of our student resources who are currently living in other parts of the country. Those students that we hired that were district alumni, we assigned them to their alumni sites, and that was for a couple of important reasons. One is a way to facilitate communication with staff. They obviously had rapport with some of those teachers and staff members already, having graduated from those sites. And also to help build that trust with students. When the students know that the tutor who is there with them attended that school, had some of the same teachers, went through some of the same experiences, that allowed the students to communicate their needs with a greater level of trust. Also, hiring our local students and alumni is a way to stimulate our local economy and support our community directly, right? So as we know, unemployment, people's loss of job or loss of hours or inability to work because of medical conditions, we know that this supports our families and community directly by being able to provide paid employment to our district alumni. Our tutors were trained by our own staff. I have to acknowledge Diana Fujimoto, who is one of our curriculum specialists who provided the training for our tutors. And the training is based in inquiry learning. And this approach emphasizes that the student has a serious role in the learning process. So the tutors, in this case, they don't just provide the answer to the students, right? Their role is really to help ask the right questions, get the students to share their idea on how they can solve this problem or how they can help themselves. And that helps create a greater ownership of their own learning. And along with that ownership in learning, it helps those students who are receiving that support to develop agency, right? So in other words, they have control over solving their own problem, and they have a great deal of control in advancing their own education. Our tutors worked under the direction of a supervising teacher at each school site. These teachers were really a great asset to the tutoring program. They devised the schedule, they communicated with teachers and administrators, they promoted the tutoring, they solved any problems or issues that may have come up, and they also were there during the tutoring sessions to help guide and support the tutors, and in many ways they served as tutors themselves to some extent, right? As they were there during the sessions, making sure that the students were getting what they needed. This academic tutoring was hours. Some was planned during asynchronous times. Again, going back to the schedule we had in place during the first semester, when we had asynchronous days, this allowed for that tutoring to take place on those days. And our tutors were even worked in class. So there were classes and teachers who had the tutors attend during the class session to help facilitate any tutors able to provide services to our students in a variety of life. And so you see here, right, the English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Korean, and Arabic. Those obviously weren't provided at every single site, but we did work with the school sites who requested certain languages to provide them tutors who could speak those language. And this was a significant support for our students, especially who were English learners in ELD courses. Those tutors who were able to communicate in Spanish and Korean were a significant support for those students. Lastly here, I won't read all of these quotes, but these are just a few very brief snippets that speak to how important the tutors were in the classroom. I will just highlight a couple of them. The second bullet down, the students and parents have been so appreciative and grateful for this help, right? Because we know that they were asking for academic assistance, and so they were able to see how beneficial it was. And then the very bottom comment there, right? Many students who are English language learners and students with disabilities, great benefit in having additional support. And this is from a teacher, right? My tutor is phenomenal in his role. So it was a very positive experience. We obviously have continued these services on into the second semester. And as we are already looking and planning for the following school year, we are considering how we might continue to this evidence. It really does. They are able to relate to our students in many ways. That was a common theme also, that especially from some of the high school teachers who shared that, you know, I attended college 20 years ago. So talking to students about, so that really gives the tutors quite a bit of credibility with the students. And also they're able to answer questions that some of us who've been working for a while, right? That it's a little far removed from our experience. And so this gives really access to those students who maybe no one in their family has attended college, or they don't really know anyone who's been. And so this provides that direct access to them to ask questions and to help as they look forward to their post-secondary careers. So that is a very brief presentation about the academic tutoring piece. I'll turn it over now to Scott Rendell, who will talk through the piece around our mentoring program. And then if there's any questions, I think he and I can answer those at the end.
Thank you, Mr. Carmona, and good evening to our board. Excited, Mr. Carmona was about sharing a positive experience for our students. We were able to deliver a virtual mentoring program to our students, run by our students this last fall, and our objective was supporting our students a lot like the college tutoring program, But we really tried to differentiate ourselves and really focus on social emotional support for our students and helping them keep that connection to their school or reconnect if they needed to reconnect. In addition, it was a great opportunity to provide our youth with a job opportunity and an opportunity to support our local families and the community. So just to share a few numbers with you. So we had 411 mentors, student mentors across 11 of our schools, our high schools and CVA and our even our independent learning centers had some mentors that were supporting our students. And they supported an average of 40 mentees per school. And we were supporting students from both the high school and junior high schools in our district. Our mentors work about 5 hours per week, up to 5 hours per week, and we're able to earn about $15 an hour, just below that, as they were working to support our students. And we provided a support structure for our students through our high school coordinators, which were at most of our schools were also our link crew coordinators. And if you're not familiar with link crew, our link crew program and at their schools, and they provide mentoring and support from this for the students. So teachers, students that were already trained, already understood the mentoring model and how to support students were there to support the program. And in addition, we had at one of our schools a CTE teacher who works in an education pathway to prepare our future educators. So again, a great candidate to support our students in this program. So in terms of training, just to elaborate a little further, so our mentors received training from the Link Crew program, which is part of the Boomerang project. And then we had additional training developed by our coordinators and that CTE education pathway teacher as well. In addition, two of our terrific AIM internship coordinators, Mandy Johnson and Eric Tenorio from Anaheim High School, created a couple of webinars to support the coordinators in, this being a brand new program. What are the goals? What are the logistics? Some recommendations for supporting our mentors and our mentees. And then in addition, the AIM team hosted periodic question and answer sessions, brainstorming sessions to share ideas as we're developing this new program, facing various challenges, and those support sessions I think really helped the coordinators deliver what ultimately was a great program for our students. Some of the activities that our students worked on with their mentees, as I mentioned, we really focused on social emotional support and connection. So they worked in groups. So our mentors were always in a group working with their mentees. They worked on things like organization, time management. They did provide tutoring if asked. That wasn't our main focus, but we didn't deny students with that academic help if they asked for it. Our students were looking to also support our English learners and our students with special needs. And then they also did fun activities to connect. So besides those weekly mentoring sessions, they did virtual game nights, movie nights, where they could get together and watch a movie together. They did arts and crafts sessions, and a lot of that came from those brainstorming sessions where we got together and looked for ways to get the mentees to come and connect with our mentors. So I have a couple of just reflections to share with you, straight from our mentors and our mentees. This one is from one of our mentors. The most meaningful moment was when I got to see my mentees grow. It was amazing, and that's such a short amount of time they were able to start changing their habits and adjust to a new system. And another one, some of our most meaningful moments throughout our time together was getting to bond with our mentee and seeing her improve with our encouragement. She told us that we were some of the first friends that she made during the school year, and it was sweet. However, it made me realize how difficult these times must be for the new junior high kids. My partner and I tried to create a welcoming environment for our mentee where she could talk to us about anything going on, and I think she was really happy to have someone to talk to. And a few from our mentees as well, so those that were receiving the support. Next slide, please, Joe. So AIM has helped me during distance learning because my mentors have helped me with things such as homework and have given me advice on school, the do's and don'ts, etc. It has helped me with managing my workload, completing my work, and keeping me motivated. It has helped me understand topics and better communicate with my teachers. And that last one, it helped me get better grades, so that student was happy about that. So, again, a program designed to keep our students connected, support our students during this time. And, we felt that like it was very successful. We learned a lot, and we're excited to continue the program into the spring and continue to learn, grow, and improve the program from there. So that kind of concludes our presentation, but if there are any questions, Mr. Kimona and I would be happy to answer those.
We have any questions from board members?
No questions here. Just keep up the good work. I like what you're saying.
Great. Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
Yes, I would like to say this is a great program. I mean, it really is superb that we are not only helping the kids, but we're helping our students by having them learn by doing. It's great. It's just a really good situation. I think the link is a great idea to help these incoming, freshmen or seventh graders, whatever, they both need that assistance. So really good. Any other?
Well, I would just like to say kudos for all of the backup system that you are giving these young people, and it's duly appreciated by me.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Smith.
All right.
Anne-Marie, did you have something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo the sentiments. It just seems like there's a wonderful theme with these both of these two, the tutoring and the mentoring. I didn't really think about it when you were talking about how we're providing some monetary resources for our families, because a lot of our families, a lot of our students, young students, have to go out and work even in this COVID time. But this is providing them a safe way to get some extra cash in a safe environment. And so it's just a really beautiful thing. I wanted to know, Scott, how were the students chosen, the 411 students?
Yeah, so we recruited from those Link Crew programs. So these were kind of existing groups of students that had that background in training. So then they had the opportunity to apply for the program from there.
And remind me, Link Crew, is that voluntary? The students volunteer to be in the Link Crew?
Yeah, it's an elective course that the students can take, and it's voluntary, yes.
Okay, and so they had a very interesting experience with this and made a little extra money in that. I think that's fantastic. Thank you too for this wonderful presentation, and also to note we didn't just throw these kids in. They were well trained. So it's just wonderful.
Madam President, may I say something?
Definitely.
Yes, I'd just like to point out to the board and the audience too that we did not find out we had this learning loss money until the beginning of August. This district was able to pivot and hire and process these students by October 1st. So kudos to the entire team. We would not be able to do it without the systemness internally, but also the relationships we have with our college partners, Fullerton College, Cal State Fullerton, and the rest of the collaborative. So awesome work, you guys. Really proud of the team.
I want to something too is to, first of all, congratulations. That's great work that you guys did. I wanted to highlight which Mike just did in terms of our partners who were part of this program, right? But most of all, I wanted to commend that 10.2 was actually put in as resilience and recovery support, and in parentheses, learning loss. And as a district, I urge that we move away from this learning loss word and move towards talking about our kids are not losing learning, right? They're doing some great work. Yes, there are a lot of challenges. Those challenges we're going to overcome, but let's not perpetuate by talking about learning loss. And I don't know in terms of legally, Carl, do we have to use it? Because I think the state funding comes out that way, right? So can we actually name it as Resilience and Recovery Fund or something like that to address it when we're talking at AUHSD? I think that's very important to change the mindset of folks. I've spoken to some students who feel like, hey, look, you know what? We're learning. Yes, we're having challenges, but those challenges are put forth not because of anything else. It's the system, right? So let's not blame our kids and brand them. They're going to be one of the most resilient group of students who are going to be coming out of this COVID, and that I know for sure. So thank you for all the work everyone's doing.
I agree 100%, Al. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, good job. Okay, moving on, we have one more presentation. This is to do with our school dismissal and distance learning, and Dr. Freed will make this presentation.
Thank you, Board President Piercy, and again, good evening to our board members, executive cabinet, to our parents, families, students, and staff who are out there watching on the live stream. Before I present, I want to make sure, can you see this okay before I hit present? Okay, perfect, thank you. All right. So I actually have a pretty brief presentation for you tonight. Really, the intent is to share with the board a revised plan or tentative plan in terms of what the return to school might look like with our hybrid learning and in-person learning model. As the board may recall, we have been taking the data that we've been given and making our decisions at quarterly increments in terms of if it's safe, if the data is supporting that we can bring our students and our staff back. I would argue the protocols we have in place can help make it safe, but again, because we're in communities that have higher rates than the traditional other communities, we have been really cautious as a board and as a district. So tonight, I'm going to be sharing with you that tentative plan. You'll see a number of safeguards, if you will, on this tentative plan that will give you as a board cover to really continue to monitor those rates, those test positive rates and the trends. We'll talk a little bit, not too much about the vaccines, but all things that you may factor into the decision you make as it returns to our return to school. So here is the tentative timeline that I want to share with you. You'll see the first date on the timeline is March 4th. This is important because March 4th is our next scheduled board meeting. At that board meeting, the idea is you will be able to, as a board, to review current data trends, our positivity rates within our zip codes and our boundaries, along with potentially how the rollout of vaccines are going in the county. As you know, right now we're in phase 1, but it is possible, we don't know for certain, but it is possible we could be in a phase 2 by the time March rolls around. So that's something that you may consider when considering if we go back to an in-person or return to a hybrid model. Now, assuming things are safe to do so, and the board is a board, you decide for us to go back to the return of a hybrid model, what we're proposing is March 8th would be when all employees return to the district and school sites full-time. As you know, prior to winter break, all of our employees, with the exception of teachers and instructional aides, were already back at work. So if it is safe to do so, if the board's purview is to have us return back to an in-person or hybrid model, we would have March 8th as the target date for all employees to return back to work. That would give our employees 2 weeks to transition and to prepare for that in-person hybrid model. That would take us up to spring break, which is March 22nd. As you may recall previously, part of what was negotiated with our district leadership team, along with the teacher union asked the leadership, were 2 flex days that were built in. As you know, under normal circumstances, we have 2 professional staff development days built into the school year. What we did this year because of the pandemic is we took those days and made them flex days to support that transition to a hybrid or in-person learning model, should we be given the opportunity to return. So if we're able to return at the end of March, like we're proposing, the days March 29th and March 30th, that is a Monday and Tuesday after we return from spring break, one of the things that we would be proposing that those are the 2 non-student days where staff continues to come back to work and uses that time without students to really transition to the in-person hybrid model. Then again, March 31st, that is a Wednesday. That would be the proposed day that our 7th and 9th graders begin their blended hybrid instruction according to their assigned schedules. As you may recall, the hybrid schedule that had been approved previously was a 30% model where all students were synchronous on Monday. And then we had a cohort A, B, and C, where they, based on their last name, they returned to school on either the Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday in person, while the other cohorts, if that wasn't their day, they were asynchronous. And then we talked also about Friday being a potentially asynchronous day. And then finally, on April 5th, that is the Monday that all students would return back to school in their blended hybrid instruction according to their assigned schedule. And again, this schedule is all dependent upon you as a board giving us the direction based on the current data trends and rates, and if you deem it appropriate for us to come back to school in person. So this is the tentative schedule that we are proposing. 2 little bullets on the bottom that I also want to share with the board. Mr. Colon and Mrs. Gaeta have been working diligently as they've been reviewing constantly the guidance that's coming in from the CDC and the state and also the county. They have recently been given clearance where we are looking to bring back our athletic and VAPA programs where they'll be able to reopen and resume practices on Wednesday, February 10th. That is next week. Tomorrow morning, Mr. Colon and Mrs. Gaeta actually have a meeting with our district athletic director, Coach Olson, where they'll begin to roll back the process to reopen our athletics. And then I believe early next week, they will be meeting with all of our district athletic directors across the board to begin this plan. And then I know subsequently after that, they will be meeting with Mr. Belsky and our JRTC folks and our ASB, our Associated Student Body Leaders, to also begin their reopening plan as well. Also, just I think what's really important for the board to note is when athletics and VAPA reopen, it will be expected, and it is enforced that all safety protocols that were previously in place and that were established will continue to be adhered to when the practices do resume on February 10th. So this is the tentative calendar. I'm going to finish with the thank you and the questions and comments. Also, just so you know, because this was a pretty brief presentation, I do have much of our educational services team on the call as well. So if you should have other questions, maybe not connected to the schedule, our team is here to help support and answer those questions as well. So with that, I'm going to go and turn it back over to you, Madam President, to lead the discussion on the dais, and if there are any questions for myself or for our team.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Freed. Okay, board, do I have some questions, comments?
Well, I would like to respond by saying that all of the information and letters to the board this evening, hopefully some of that, the questions and comments that were made to us will be helped by Dr. Freed's report.
I agree. I know. I think it's a couple of the last statements will, pertain to a lot of the requests for at least the sports and activities being reopened. So next week, the kids can be back in the sports practicing and perhaps, marching and whatever. So that is a good sign. And hopefully, if things continue, we can return to some form of in-person with the hybrid model after another month, more or less, February, yeah. So starting in March and getting prepared. Okay, board members, Anne Marie.
Sorry. Since you were talking about the sports, can we, and I know Diana's on, can we ask Diana to remind us about those, the protocols for VAPA and athletics?
Yes.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
So we're able to go right into phase 2 where we left off. Phase 2 required our students to still be in pods that did not exceed 10 students, 1 coach per 10 students. All of the health protocols that we had established included health screening upon arrival, 6-foot distancing at all times, masks to be worn at all times, including outdoors, unless there were exercises that were being that may overexert a child, such as the sprinting and or the fast-paced running. There was no indoor athletics, no weight rooms to be used indoors. They were able to move their weight and equipment outdoors. And I think folks were very, very successful in maintaining those protocols, and we expect the same.
So for clarification, if they're running and there's no one around, are you saying that they can take their mask off? Or
only for those activities that have been approved. So it would be your very fast sprinting, but we were able to maintain for the majority the 6 feet distancing, especially in the cross country if they're able to spread out. But in conjunction with our athletic directors and Mitch Olson, we identified only those activities that cause that, and of course, water polo for sure.
Okay, and our coaches they know which sports they can do that with.
Yes, and what we're planning is a reboarding of those athletic staff as well, and that's already being looked at for next week to ensure that they're reminded of the protocols and that they acknowledge we're going to pick up where we left off.
And Diana, sorry, it's just the questions are just coming. What did our bands do? What were they? What did that look like?
VAPA was also in the process of restarting as well. We had their notification and approval to parents completed. They had the green light. Unfortunately, it was right at the time that the stay-at-home orders were issued. So with the return of sports, if approved, we would also be looking at those other groups that were approved at that time as well, which would be our VAPA and our ASB students, and also our JROTC.
Okay.
Mr. Colon, am I missing any groups that were approved prior to
No,
the state orders?
you got them all. We had already planned on having them all back, and we unfortunately went on the stay at home, and that put a hold. But we are ready to implement as soon as we got the green light and the guidance was clear.
Very good.
So, Diana, how does the VAPA work? Like for choir, you have, like Kennedy has 300 or so students in choir. Obviously, they can't be all in one room together. How will that work? Do they all go outside and stay in pods of 10 and practice their singing and that? So they're not inside, they're outside.
That is absolutely correct. They would be outside only. They would be pods of 10 as well. And we would actually be looking at anything, we would actually be looking at a distance that's closer to 8 feet rather than 6 feet if they were going to be singing. And we'll also be looking at the specialized masks that are used with the intention for singing at the time that it's allowed. I would have to look at the guidance again. At the time that we dismissed to return home, singing was not yet allowed. So I will have to go back to see if that was available, an option for us, Mr. Colon, unless you have that information readily available.
The primary thing that the choirs did was the choreographing. So they were able to get together to do choreograph for show choir and that kind of thing. That was what was being allowed at the time.
All outdoors.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Al. You're on mute right now.
All right,
There
so a couple of things. Well, I just want to reiterate that, any decision that we make today obviously is predicated upon what we are looking at on March 4th. And I know a lot of comments were made about vaccine. We're still not there. Orange County have 3.2 million people. And according to the guidelines, we have like 65 and over, and the phase 1 folks, including our first line responders, we have about 800,000 folks, and we're barely getting to them with 200,000 people vaccinated. I think the county is making good progress, so we'll get there. But we need to have all that in mind before we start really looking at how we can open up and bring students in. Having said that, my next comments that I'm going to make are literally regarding mental health. And I want to make sure that I address this. And I think lot of folks might not know the context, but those of you who are listening would know I was very disappointed in how we as a district, as a site, handled the Rodney Moore suicide by death case notification and the aftermath. I think all the good work that we do as a district could come crashing down if we don't handle one issue right. And this was that very important issue for me as a board member. And I think as parents who actually met with us and talked to us, and those parents who have not talked to us, this was a very, very important issue. As a district, I know we pride ourselves being the best district in Orange County. I've said that many times. I think that we're the best district in the country, and the district that everyone looks up to when it's related to education, but specifically when it comes to mental health, we're known as one of the best districts. I don't want us to be complacent. I want us to make sure that we're fixing our communication issues related to that particular incident. Make sure that we are prominently displaying our mental health resources, not only on our district website, but also on our school websites. Make it available in all languages. Make sure that we are interacting with parents. We had a great town hall meeting to address our mental health. And I mentioned that, and I think a lot of them who participated knew that we had great information. But that information should have been presented to our parents in a regular manner or on a consistent manner, because we know that we're in a pandemic situation. So I want to make sure that that link, or at least make that information available to every single parent in our district. And I had this conversation with our folks, including the superintendent, our mental health director, our assistant superintendent. So I want to make sure that I'm public with this. And next time when we have a town hall, let's make sure that we have the opportunity for parents to ask questions. I think that's very important. If we call it a town hall, let's make it a town hall and let's have parents ask questions. We had a communication breakdown and a system breakdown. I want to tell our team and publicly that all our leadership team, and including our school site, that it is unacceptable, regardless of what the circumstances, that we do not answer emails or calls from our parents. I was surprised because that's not who we are. Having said that, I want to thank everybody who was part of the meeting when we met with the parents in Anaheim. I had a long conversation with our superintendent. I think you heard our parents from Anaheim loud and clear. And I want to see a 30-day plan. Include those parents when we're working that 30-day plan. Make sure that we're communicating to those parents on a regular basis. I'm confident in all that we do and all the work that we've done. Some of you, work. I've said this in the past. Some of you work 24 hours a day, literally not sleeping, I think, right? But if you're a great district, sometimes we need that jolt to recalibrate and get back on track, right? I do want to acknowledge that all you who are putting a considerable amount of time, literally making things work for our parents and our students. I just ask that we are consistently keeping an eye and retuning our system so that we don't let anything fall through the cracks. So having said that, I do want to sincerely thank all the parents who got in touch with us to actually talk about the issue. We welcome your comments. And as a board member who represents this area, I've always been available to talk to our parents. But I know that all our district folks are the same. Something happened, there was a breakdown. We will fix it and we'll make sure that we'll get back on track. So I want to thank everybody who was part of that meeting too. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the presentation?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I had a quick question. So say we go back on the on March 31st, and our 7th and 9th graders. I was trying to look at my calendar, and I couldn't really look at the days. So can you explain why we're doing that, the 7th and 9th grader? I think it's really important to point that out.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Trustee Randall Trejo. So for our 7th and 9th graders, as you know, this pandemic began in March of last year. So as our students matriculated up to their next grade level, our 7th graders and 9th graders have really yet to step on those campuses. We've been virtual to start this entire school year. So if the board decides for us to go back to in-person model, this gives them at least a head start to be on that campus, to familiarize themselves with the classrooms where things are at without the full crowds. And keep in mind, our hybrid model is 30%. So there really won't be truly full crowds, but it'll make that transition a little bit easier for them, as Trustee just talked about the importance of mental health. This was a strategic piece with our teacher input group and our district team in building that schedule to really accommodate them on that first time on campus, so they get the attention they need and they deserve to be able to navigate on that campus for the first time. And then the next week is when all students would return back again in that third model.
Okay. Now, basically, the questions and comments on the presentation also dovetail into our next item of business, which is the reopening of the school sites, which we will vote on. Now, I'd like to make this comment because we are looking at, March as our employees returning and not the students returning yet, because we've still got the numbers to deal with in our area. But we do have a number of parents who are real, as we've heard tonight, want to see the schools reopen. So, we are working with on that premise that we are trying to get our schools open. And it's imperative that we do it in such a way that we are still sure it's safe to open. So we are waiting for the area, Orange County to have better numbers. We have a high number of zip codes in our attendance area that have high counts. But we are a school of choice district. So our kids are all throughout the district. So it's hard to try to think about opening some schools and not others. We can't do that. So I want people to understand we are trying to get the schools open. If nothing else, they will have 2 months of in-person before the school year is over. So they'll, if everything goes the way, we have it kind of planned out now. But once again, the board is going to be meeting March 4th to make sure everything is ready to go before that we can change our minds like we've done before. We've moved things over. So this is the plan, and we're going to try to do this, and hopefully then maybe we can. And if not, then we'll make changes again in March at our next board meeting. So, Kathy, do you have any comments or questions you'd like to pose?
Well, I would only like to say I'm sympathetic and empathetic to everything you said, Anna, and I thank you for voicing that.
Okay, Mr. O'Neill.
So are we working on 11.1 now?
Well, basically, we've been discussing it about the same. I mean, it's basically we hopped over to that. So
Yes,
in other words,
that's what I'm asking. Do we need a motion for 11.1? Okay, so I move 11.1.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any additional questions or comments?
I just want to make a comment. As I agree with what you're saying, Madam President, that this is the preparatory stage to get ready to open the schools. We all want the students and teachers back in the classroom. That's an obvious statement, but we also have to be cautious and careful as we do this. So I'm looking forward to our March 4th meeting, when we make the final decision of what we're going to be doing, all predicated upon the information we receive. Thank you.
All right. And
so let me ask a question. Do we need to take this vote today?
Yes, I think we do.
Yes, because as you
Yeah.
may recall, Trustee Jabbar, the last time the board had approved the schedule, it was with the return of March 15th, the first day of the first quarter. So we're actually recommending to postpone that a few weeks so that way you can get the most current data to make a more informed decision before. As the board knows, you know, as a school district, we're really not able to open if we're still in the purple tier. So by March 4th, fingers crossed, we're not in the purple tier, we're in the red tier, which gives you more cover to move in that direction. So that 2-week push gives you more information to make a more informed decision. So yes, you do need to take action, because if you don't, otherwise we're still on the March 15th return date, which is 2 weeks sooner than what we're proposing right now.
Right. I wanted to clarify with that question because of confusions, right? But let me tell you, the way that I vote today doesn't mean that I am all on board for this. And I think, well, I don't want to speak for other trustees, but anyways, at the end of the day, I think I mentioned it. We need to make sure that we're looking at. I think Anna mentioned it, which I want to highlight too, is that we do have students who are from Anaheim in these hotspot areas who attend Oxford, who attend Cypress, who attend Kennedy. So we can take a look at it and say like, hey, you know what? You guys have the problem in Anaheim. Let's open up Cypress and Kennedy and, Oxford, because we have students who go to those schools. So we want to make sure that we are responsible in opening up. And as I mentioned, county is doing what they can in terms of pushing out the vaccine supply they receive. If the spigot's open up and we get more vaccines, maybe we vaccinate all, 800,000 65 and older, and then we should be able to make some kind of a decision. But until then, I'm not comfortable. But for planning purposes, I will take the vote.
Okay. Now, Mr. Jabbar, this is sort of like what I did on the last meeting vote. In other words, when we voted for March, I was not not happy pushing it off until the fourth quarter, but I voted for it, in lieu of something else. So sometimes you may not be totally happy with it, but it's, one of those things we qualify. In other words, I qualified when I voted. I qualified. I'm not happy about this, but
Roles reversed. That's right. I got it.
Right. Okay.
And I just, on that note, who's happy about any of this? This is
exactly
really, really tough. And to echo, Brian, we all want, some semblance of normalcy back. Of course we do. We don't want anyone, to feel discomfort or to be uncomfortable, but, as we're trying to go through this, we know we're getting information daily. I mean, minutes sometimes. What you hear in the morning changes, or by the time you get you get the evening news. So I think it's I like this idea that we're going to wait to really make that final decision on March 4th. And yet we still have to plan. We can't just say, well, wait till that day and not have a plan in place. And that's what's so great about, our district. We plan for this. So, I anticipate March 4th, we'll be having a very robust conversation.
Once again.
We hope, the vaccines come in. I think that's a very huge, decision maker for me, and a lot of other variables and where we are with the numbers, and we have to also think about hospital beds. I mean, these are all the things. We're not just thinking of just a few entities. And being responsible, as Mr. Jabbar said, we're a family in this district, and what one does, we all do. We don't separate. So we can't just open one half of the district, versus the other. Just think about what that would bring. And it's not responsible. We have students that, go to and live in cross section. So I think you know, I'm in favor of today's you know, what we have before us, and that we have a comprehensive plan, and moving forward, I mean, that's what we can do.
Okay, let's take a vote on it.
Anna, I would like to add a couple of points for the folks listening to the school board. When Mrs. Piercy mentioned that we're still in purple, I think that for people that made comments before the school board from Cypress and from elementary school districts, we are in an entirely different situation. When Mrs. Piercy mentioned purple, we are in purple. And the school board gets a tally every week of how many COVID patients there are in each zip code. And many of our parts of our community are 3 generations of family members living in small quarters. And so for the general population, you don't get the same information that we do as a board. And believe me, if we could turn a page and get us all back in, we would do it yesterday. But please know that we are not doing this to harm you or your kids. We take this to heart. We've all raised children. And I have grandchildren, but they live in a different district. And so their environment is entirely different in their environment, in their living quarters and in their area. So I just had to add that so you would understand more fully where we're coming from. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Okay, so are we ready to vote? Any other comments? Okay. All right, Mrs. Trejo.
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Reluctantly aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the motion passes. Next item is 11.2. This is our school-sponsored student organizations. We have 3 clubs coming up. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And second? Okay. Any questions or comments?
I love the origami club.
Isn't that neat? And the rest homes and senior living quarters will be getting the products of these club members, and I think that's lovely. So, okay, roll call vote. Mrs. Strandel Trejo.
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye.
What about our student board rep?
Oh, yes. Elizabeth. Unmute yourself, babes. You're muted. Elizabeth, you're on mute. Okay, now I lost her.
She's at the meeting.
Elizabeth, are you there?
She's signing back in.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye, there you go. Yeah, sometimes you got to go out and come back in again. Right. Okay, good. We got you. I'm sorry, I almost forgot you. I got to make a note of that next time so I don't forget you. Okay, now our next item will be resolutions. Now, on this agenda packet, we have 14 resolutions coming up. And so it makes it a little hard to read any resolutions. So what I'm going to try to do is for each resolution, I will summarize. And for those of you that really want to read the resolutions, please log on to our website and, bring up the today's agenda and you can read the whole resolution. Item 1113 is resolution number 2020/21-BOT-09, climate change.
So moved.
And a second? Okay. This resolution affirms the Anaheim Union High School District's commitment to identifying opportunities within our curriculum and providing additional learning and leadership opportunities where possible. This will reflect our students' environmental goals for their civic lives and their academic as well as professional careers. Okay, Mrs. Trejo.
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay. Next item, 11.4. This is resolution number 2020/21-BOT-10, establishing Cambridge Virtual Academy as a new school and restoring the name Polaris High School. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Okay, this is in order to improve and make more efficient administrative and data tracking functions of the two separate independent study options that are currently offered by the district. Do I have any questions or comments? Seeing none, we will vote. Mrs. Trejo.
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, number 14.5.
11.5.
Oh, 11.5. Where did I get 14? I'm sorry. 11.5. This is public hearing on the statutory school fees pursuant to Education Code Section 17620, and which are level 1 fees. I don't have my gavel. Open the public hearing.
And we did not receive any comments for public hearing on this item.
Okay. Okay. Due to the state allocation board reversing or reassessing the school fees, the Board of Trustees is requested to hold this public hearing regarding the need of the district to levy statutory school fees to provide school facilities for students generated from new commercial and industrial developments, as well as new residential and senior housing developments. So, no hearings, no comments, so close the public hearing. 11.6, this is the resolution number 2020/21-F-08, increasing statutory school fees and notice of exemption. So this is where we vote on whether or not we want to, agree to this rise in the, in fees.
So
Okay,
moved.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any other questions, comments?
Clarifying question.
Okay,
Is this another name for developer fees, or is this something different?
no, this is part of the developer fees. Okay, so let me read this here. The statutory school fees are the developer fees, okay? And, and it's part of the residential and commercial industrial development school fee justification study that they just did. And this was done and completed January 21st. And they increased the existing statutory school fees for all residential, commercial, industrial, and senior housing development. And also, this is to adopt a notice of exemption pursuant to Education Code Section 17620. In other words, they went ahead and reassessed and raised the amount, and we have to agree to that. And then it is divided amongst, between us and the elementary school districts. So it's raising it a few cents per.
Mm-hmm. So we have to do it. It's not really open for debate or discussion about it. Because in the past, we have been able to say, we would give exemptions or we would waive these fees in the past. And we have. So just clarifying questions.
Yeah. No, I think, we have to, as a kind of a lead agency. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, Let's vote. Mrs. Trejo,
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar,
Aye.
Mrs. Smith,
Aye.
and I vote aye. 11.7, Resolution 2020/21-B-13, temporary interfund transfer.
So
Action
moved.
item. I have a motion and a
Second.
second. Okay. This, of course, is going to provide some flexibility as much as possible for the 2021 year within the district's cash resources. Any questions or comments? Okay, I'll take roll call. Mrs. Trejo,
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar,
Aye.
Mrs. Smith,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay, that's a regular every year we do that one. Okay, and 11.8, resolution number 2020/21-E-08, Career and Technical Education Month.
So moved.
Second.
And I have a motion and a second, of course. This is obviously, the month of February has been designated as Career and Tech Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education. This school to career connection is the backbone of a strong, well-educated workforce, and which fosters productivity in business and industry, as well as contributes to America's leadership in the international marketplace. Any questions or comments? Okay, we'll go to a vote. Mrs. Trejo,
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar,
Aye.
Mrs. Smith,
Aye.
and I vote aye. You betcha. Career and technical education is so very important. 11.9, resolution number 2020/21-E-09, National Parent Teacher Association Founders Day.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. The National Parent Teacher Association Founders Day honors the dedication of the Parent and Teacher Association, which was established more than a century ago, and to inform the community of the efforts that the district is making to support parent involvement and working on behalf of all children and families. We are proud of our PTA and we work with them. Okay, any questions or comments? Seeing none. Mrs. Trejo.
I'll just say that I am a proud former leader of the PTA and a current member of the PTA, and I vote aye.
Very good. Yes. Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
And Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. And I'd like to say this, usually I've joined every PTA on every campus every year. And I don't know if I did it this year. Usually they're right there to get me and I write my check and they're all there. I hope I did. If not, PTA better let me know. Okay, item 11.10. This is resolution number 2020/21-E-10, National African American History Month. Motion.
So moved.
And I have a motion and a second. Now, the National African American History Month in February celebrates the contributions that African Americans have made to American history in their struggles for freedom and equity, as well as deepens our understanding of our nation's history. The adoption of this resolution will provide an opportunity to inform parents, guardians, and communities of the efforts that the district is taking to honor the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development. Any questions or comments? Okay. All right. Mrs. Trejo.
Just to say that, that African American history is American history. So I vote aye.
Definitely. Mr. O'Neill.
Definitely aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
A solid aye.
And I vote aye, definitely. And item 1111, this is resolution number 2020/21-E-11. This is Read Across America 2021. Do I have a motion?
Second.
And I have a motion and a second. In 1997, an organization known as the National Education Association advocated for a special day to celebrate reading throughout the United States. The first Read Across America Day was held on March 2nd, 1998, and this nationwide observance coincides with the birthday of Dr. Seuss, who is known for writing children's books. The United States, particularly students, parents, and teachers, joined forces on Read Across America Day, annually held on March 2nd. And I hope everyone gets in there and reads at some classroom on March 2nd. I love doing it every year. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah,
All right.
I just wanted to say yes. Please invite us to their classrooms. We would love to actually do that virtually, and it would be a lot easier. We could get to more sites.
Right. You know, I've done it at the elementary school, and I've got the Dr. Seuss hat. I put the Dr. Seuss hat on, and I usually find a Dr. Seuss book. It's fun. So
it is.
Okay. Let's vote. Mrs. Trejo.
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Item 11.12, resolution number 2020/21-E-12, preserve music in our schools month.
So moved.
All right. Several motions and seconds. Okay. The adoption of the resolution will recognize that music education is an important component of a well-rounded academic curriculum. The skills gained through sequential music instruction, including discipline and the ability to analyze, solve problems, create, communicate, as well as work cooperatively, are vital for success in the 21st century workplace. Any comments from our singer? No?
I would just add that as we've been through COVID and the crisis here, I would just add that music is a healing aspect to our, to all of us. And we're talking about mental health. What music has done for all of us to soothe us, to lift our spirits, has just been wonderful. And I'm just really proud of all the work that our district has done, and to the board who has supported music programs since you've been on the board. So I applaud you for that. And thank you to all of our instructors out there.
Yes. And I have to say this district, for as long as I've been with it, has always been very supportive of music. We've always had a great band program, and so it's good. And we're good too because we've got all kinds of electives. Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Trejo.
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. 11.13, resolution number 2020/21-E-13, Women's History Month.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Women's History Week in 1987, after being petitioned by the National Women's History Project, was designated the month of March to become Women's History Month instead of week. So we are now having the whole month for learning about women's history. And the women that
two males on the board motion and second it.
very good. All right. All right.
You have to go home.
Any other comments? Okay, Mrs. Trejo.
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
And Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And myself, I vote aye. Yeah, you are outnumbered, aren't you? I just realized that. It's 3-2. Okay. Item 11.14, resolution number 2020/21-E-14, Arts Education Month.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. All right. Arts education in California is mandated for pupils in grades 1 through 12. And the course of study shall include instruction in visual and performing arts, including instruction in the subjects of dance, music, theater, and the visual arts. This is aimed at the development of aesthetic appreciation and the skills of creative expression. Some of our 5 C's, very important. Okay, any questions, comments? Seeing none? Yes.
I'll make my vote.
Go ahead. I'll start voting, Mrs. Trejo.
I just wanted to ditto my sentiments about that I said about music. The same goes for our art expression as far as a form of healing and inspiration. So I vote aye.
All right, Mr. O'Neill.
I vote aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. 11.15, resolution number 2020/21-E-15, National Athletic Training Month.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Since 1950, an organization known as the National Athletic Trainers Association has advocated for setting a standard for professionalism, education, certification, research, and practice settings nationwide. Certified athletic trainers are employed by the district and are nationally certified and dedicated to providing professional health care for all of our student athletes. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Trejo?
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill?
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar?
Aye.
Mrs. Smith?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Item 11.16. This is resolution number 2020/21-E-16. Take down Tobacco Day.
So moved.
Second.
All right. It's a nationwide observance that encourages teachers, administrators, students, classified employees, and all staff to use the date to stand up to the tobacco industry and join together at events highlighting the deadly toll of tobacco. That is what we know for Take Down Tobacco Day. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, Mrs. Trejo? Vote.
All right, I vote
There you
aye.
go. Yeah, Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. And to go along with 11.16, we have 11.17. This is resolution number 2020/21-E-17, Through with Chew Week. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
All right. Through with Chew Week is a national week of activism that empowers youth and any concerned group to stand out, speak up, and seize control against the tobacco industry. The purpose is to raise awareness of the problems of smokeless tobacco use. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, let's vote. Mrs. Trejo?
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill?
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar?
Aye.
Mrs. Smith?
Aye.
And I vote aye. And I was not aware that we still have a large problem with chew. I thought it had kind of disappeared, but evidently not. Item 11.18. This is an action item, a consulting agreement with W Strategies LLC. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Trejo?
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill?
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar?
Aye.
Mrs. Smith,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Down to 11.19. This is a new board policy, number 8,000, equity, and it's our first reading. This is the equity board policy intends to improve opportunities for all of our students and address barriers to learning and reduce opportunity gaps between student groups. This is what the purpose of this is. This is first reading. Any comments, questions, concerns? Okay, seeing none. That was basically an information item only. Moving on, 11.20, Educational Consulting Agreement, Manifest 5 Equity LLC. Action item. Do
So moved.
I have a motion and a second? Questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Trejo?
Oh, I'm just so proud to vote aye on this.
I know, and it's just a young man who was one of our students, graduated from Oxford. He's done a phenomenal job. You know, he's only 2 years out of Oxford, and he's already making a name for himself. So, kudos to him. Mr. O'Neill.
I agree with your statement. Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
And I know how proud he makes all of us, including his family. Aye.
Aye, granted. And I vote aye, of course. 11.21, Educational Consulting Agreement with Ron Hoshi. Action item.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Mr. Hoshi will be continuing to work as a consultant with our ambassador program, which he's worked with for quite a few years and done a great job with. Ron just won't stop. It's great. He just keeps popping up and volunteering for doing things. Hey, our blessing, let me tell you. Okay, any comments, questions? Seeing none? We'll take a vote. Mrs. Trejo?
I concur with you. He is a blessing, and he's an Energizer bunny, and we're happy to have him. Aye.
Mr. O'Neill?
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar?
Aye.
And Mrs. Smith?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Item 11.22, Educational Consulting Agreement, Althena Systems, Inc.
So moved.
Second? Do I have a second?
Second, not to be mistaken with Otina.
Oh, yeah. It's Althena. Yes, this is our artificial intelligence expert, Neil Sahota. He's already worked with us. He's a well-known artificial intelligence speaker and expert. I had the privilege of listening to him when he met with the Kennedy faculty. And like I said, and each one of us got his book, and I'm about halfway through. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Trejo.
I think this is exciting times for us. We keep going, keep moving forward. Aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Item 11.23, Educational Consulting Agreement with Behavioral Tech LLC, a Linehan Institute training company.
Oh, so moved.
Yeah.
Motion, second? Okay.
Second.
All right, thank you. Okay, questions, comments?
Can I
Seeing none?
Training?
What?
Can I take the training too? I really would love to. These
you know what?
Yeah. Modules, is it going to be done like on a weekly basis, or is it going to be done like all in 1 week, or is this self-paced?
You know, I know Adele left the call, but I don't believe it's all in 1 week. I think it's spread out because there's some practicums that come with some of the training.
Okay. Yes, they have to do extra work. She's tough like that.
This is for both the psychs and the social workers. So all of our mental health professionals to do
Okay.
that tier 3 level work.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Trejo?
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill?
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
And I vote aye. And now we are at item 12, the consent calendar. I will
Poll 12.6CC and 12.7.
Okay.
Please pull 11, 12, and 13.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Anne Marie, I didn't hear that.
12, 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Okay. 10, 11, and 15. Okay.
10, 11, 12, and
12,
13.
10, 12, 11, and 12, 15. Yes.
No. No.
13.
So, 10,
Okay.
11, 12, 13.
Okay.
Move for the balance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. So roll call vote. Mrs. Trejo,
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay, items 12.6 CC and 12.7.
So move.
Second.
Okay, questions, comments? Okay, I'll go for a vote. Mrs. Trejo,
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill,
Abstain.
Mr. Jabbar,
Aye.
Mrs. Smith,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay, 12.10. Do we take these all together, Mrs. Trejo?
We can take 12, 10 separately and then 11, 12, 13 together.
Okay,
How's
item
that?
12.
So moved on 10.
Second.
12. Okay.
I just
All right,
wanted to pull this because I didn't want this kind of buried in our consent. I think this is a celebration. This is something to be, very proud of. Our stellar work is recognized not only with this statewide, but we have been recognized nationally. And I just wanted to point out our collaborative efforts, and this is to help the rest of the state. And so I just wanted to congratulate and celebrate. I know it's still work, but it's good work, and it's good. It's a great place to be. We're representing, and showing that. I think the proper way of engaging our stakeholders, and I just want to congratulate Manuel and the team for for everything that they do. So I just wanted to highlight this.
Very
And
good. Thank you.
if anybody wants to speak to this,
Thank you,
ahead.
Anne Marie. Thank you, Anne Marie, because I think that that is an acknowledgement of the good work that the district has accomplished over the years, and recognized by the state is a very special thing. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Very good. Okay, any other comments or questions? Thank you for doing that, Anne Marie. And okay, so we will go to vote. Mrs. Trejo,
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill,
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar,
Aye.
Mrs. Smith,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay, 12, 11, 12, 12, and 12, 13.
So
and
moved.
15. Okay. All right, I have a motion in a second.
And
take-
again, we're talking about our partnerships, and United Way has been there for us, with us. They not only talk about the good work that they do, but they're showing us with monetary contributions that they're giving us. And, you know, this goes to instructional support, you know, professional development, tutors, materials, supporting our AIM program. So this is just a whole blanket of love and support from United Way, and we earned it.
We get, and Anne Marie, thank you again for acknowledging that, because I just met with Sergio Contreras, and we get by far more money and support from the United Way over any other district, and that goes to the collaborative work as well. So thank you for acknowledging that, because and kudos to the Ed Division and all of your hard work. So thank you.
Yes, very good. Yes.
Madam President, quick,
Yes.
I know we voted on this, but I just wanted to highlight the 12.15, great work. But Jaren, would you be able to give a breakdown of the 50 students in a Friday update in terms of what schools they're coming from? I appreciate it.
Be happy to.
Okay, so let's go back though to these 4 things for the grants that we keep getting, which is phenomenal. You know, if we weren't branching out and doing some innovative things in our district, we would not be getting grants to do even more. So it's like the more we do, the more we get, the more we can do. I love our AIM program. It has grown and become so so large compared to where it started. Because I remember going to the first Bunzel meeting at Catella High School auditorium when we first started that, you know, and it's just mushroomed since, you know, it's been great. So, okay. Any other questions?
Yeah. We're still able to do it in these times. It's just really phenomenal, you know, the partners, the business partners, nonprofits, that they're willing to, you know, take the time to do this. So that's just phenomenal too.
It's great but they see what we are doing is important and good, and they're supporting us. And that's so we are doing we should be. We're doing what's needed, and we are being supported by the businesses. How many businesses do we have now part of our AIM program? It's phenomenal. And I mean, and our partners are so good. I mean, Kaiser has done phenomenal stuff with our kids. You know, I attended some of their things too, and it's great. So I'm very proud of our AIM program. So, all right, let's go back to, okay, where are we going to vote on them? Anybody else have anything to say or comments? Okay, we'll vote. Mrs. Trejo?
I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill?
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar?
Aye.
Mrs. Smith?
Gratefully, aye.
And me too. I vote a big solid aye. Okay. So we have done with the consent calendar, and we're moving on to item 13, superintendent and staff report. These are long ones, I've heard. Okay, superintendent.
No report for me. Thank you.
All right.
No report for me as well.
Mr. Jackson.
I do have about 30 minutes worth of, okay. No, I'm just kidding.
No report?
And no report from me either. Thank you.
Nancy, nothing else? Okay. And Carl, do you have any?
No, nothing tonight. Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right. So anyone else? Did I miss any? Manuel, Mr. Clone, do you have any?
No report. Thank you.
Okay. Then who else? Eric, do you have a report of any kind? No.
No, Mrs. Piercy. Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to miss anybody out. I don't want to miss anybody.
Thank you. We're good, Madam President.
Okay. All right. So move on to the Board of Trustees report. We'll start with Mrs. Trejo.
All righty. Thank you, Madam President. I attended my DISCOPA board meeting, my ROP board meeting. I attended on Tuesday night Anaheim parent meeting. I also attended the Ethnic Studies Task Force, and I briefly went into last night's open house with Anaheim High School, and congratulations to their success. And happy Valentine's Day to everyone. We're still going to try to celebrate that, right? And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O'Neill.
Yes, 3 items. I attended the budget meeting and the OCSBA governor's budget meeting, and they both sounded positive. Of course, we still have to wait until the May revise and the June final, but it sounds like we have some positive news coming down. I also attended Anaheim High School open house last night, and some teachers I talked to were positive, but I went into one, Miss Newman, who teaches anatomy and physiology. She played a video of brain surgery, an actual brain surgery, and it showed the patient was had to play the guitar because they were working on his brain, and they wanted to make sure that where they were at within his brain, that they weren't affecting that skill of him being able to play, because he was a musician. And so this was really, I thought that was really interesting. So anyhow, that was really interesting. And then Mrs. Majewski in AP Government and Economics, she was saying that that attendance is phenomenal in her classes, and the students are so engaged in discussions of current events and the current situation that it's really a joy to be with the class. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Mr. Jabbar.
Thank you. I was reappointed to the Conference Planning Committee for CSBA. So we've so far had 2 meetings back to back, and we're having the 3rd meeting coming up. We just reviewed all the great comments that we received regarding the last conference, and now we are planning for the new conference, believe it or not. And we are basically taking ideas and kind of vetting speakers, so on and so forth. So that's a great committee to be a part of. I'm enjoying it. I also went to Sycamore Junior High, met Mr. Brown, and took a nice little tour of the construction that's going on. I compelled him to be on a video with me, so he was very good and gracious in giving me a good tour. So most likely put that up on social media pretty soon. Everything is coming along pretty fine, and I think the community is going to be very, very happy with the final product. And I certainly was very happy with the progress of the site. I also met with our parents. Obviously, you heard my comments earlier. And then I attended the ROP meeting with Trustee Randall Trejo. And finally, I wanted to kind of commend our team at Magnolia. So the county was looking for a partnership, and I was fortunate enough to kind of coordinate that part with, on behalf of my boss, Supervisor Doug Chafee of the county, to bring in a vaccine clinic up in Anaheim. And we worked very closely with Latino Health Access and our amazing team at AUHSD and Magnolia. I want to give kudos to Araceli Chavez, Araceli Huerta, Tanya Garcia, Dr. Karen Dabney, Carlos Hernandez, and Carlos Rojas, who was our custodian there, and Miss Leva. They did some really phenomenal work in terms of coordinating with the county team to not only have the place accessible, it's been touted and spoken about as the most successful clinic that they've done in terms of a mobile clinic. So I'm looking forward to having more partnership relationship with AUHSD and our county team. What was notable was we had 2 doctors. One was Dr. Sarah Nazar Khan, who was a former student at Magnolia. She came in with a mentee of hers Dr. Lorenzo Gonzalez, both products of AUHSD. Dr. Nazar Khan was a Magnolia student, and Dr. Lorenzo Gonzalez was a Catella student, and both of them came to actually volunteer their time. So that was amazing to see two students who actually got their, who are doctors, decided to come back, and both don't live in the community anymore. Both of them, one lives in Torrance and the other one lives in LA. And both heard that it was happening in Magnolia, and both of them said, hey, we want to be there and support our community that we lived in. Both of them stayed from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way until the end of the clinic, which was at 2. And they were the ones who were observing the patients after they got their shot, when they were sitting and being observed for 15 minutes. So it was great to see our alumni coming back and giving time. I've had conversations with Dr. Nazar Khan before, and she's actually come to Magnolia to speak to students. So I reeled them in again and said, like, hey, you got to come back and speak to our students again. So she connected with our principal, Lorena Moreno at Dale. So they had a good conversation. So most likely have them to speak our students too. So that's the end of my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Smith.
The only thing that I would like to say is I'd like to bring everyone's attention to the picture of a senior high student, Tiffany Huang, or Hoang, on the front page of the Orange County Register this morning. She's an outstanding example of young people in Orange County, and she earned the Girl Scouts Gold Award and the Boy Scouts Eagle Scout Award. And I know she's not a student in our district, but she's an example of the kind of students that we so deeply appreciate.
That was amazing, isn't it? Both awards.
It's a beautiful story.
It is. It's great. I am so pro scouting because I went through scouts all the way through high school. So it's really a great program for the girls. Okay. Let's see, what did I do? I attended a few webinars here. I attended, like as I said before, the Neil Sedhoda meeting at Kennedy High School. I listened to him, and I attended the Breakfast Club with Sharon Quirk Silva on that Friday morning. And then I attended the webinar, The Path to Reopening Schools, put through CSBA. And I had one more, but I don't know what it was. Okay, several webinars. That's about it. I haven't, I did go to Lexington, and at Lexington, something I haven't seen in years. And I had to go out into the quad and look, there's actually grass in the middle of the quad. There's no kids to trample it. It's actually green grass. I'm just, you gotta be kidding me. In all the years, I've never seen it that green. So beautiful. Well, it's one good thing of not having any kids on campus. The campus is really green.
Anna, did you go to the breakfast with Tony Thurman?
Yes, yes.
Oh.
That was it.
Okay.
Right. I couldn't remember the title of it, what it was. I was trying to remember. I've been to so many different ones, I was trying to remember. But yeah, that was interesting. It was a good one. You were there too, weren't you?
Yeah, for a little bit.
For a little bit? Okay. No, I was there the whole time.
I was wondering if anybody had attended the one that was talking about cybersecurity, that speaker, but that wasn't the one. So.
Okay. That's about it, and because I went to Lexington to mail my 460 form. That's why I went there. So I had to get those forms in. Okay. Advanced planning, future meeting dates. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, March 4th. Now, I do have a question here because now I have a trip planned for this summer. And we have Thursday, June 10th is an LCAP thing, I believe, and then the Thursday, June 17th is a regular board meeting. Is that correct? I'm not going to be able to be here Thursday, June 10th. Could we do that the week before? That's a question. Not to be answered right now, but I want to see, what the chances are. I'll talk to the powers that be later, but I'm just bringing that up now. Any suggested agenda items? Okay, seeing none, I will take a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Do I have to do roll call for this?
No, you can do it all together.
It's all together, everybody. All right. All in favor?